Our Speedway coverage of the ARCA General Tire Hoosier 500 is being brought to you by Texaco Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car.
And also by Suzuki, the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by the NASCAR Story. To order, call 1-800-71-NASCAR. There we see all the cars as they have left pit road, and Ned, the racetrack looks pretty good.
Yeah, the racetrack looks like it's in good shape. They had a lot of vehicles out there drying, but also the wind picked up, and that helped to dry the racetrack as well. Not going to be too good for the drivers out there, but certainly helped to dry the racetrack.
And there we see the new grandstand that they've built here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
They're always improving things here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Take a look at the grandstands back there, and you see the cars lined up behind the safety vehicle. We told you it's the most competitive field in ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Series history. Take a look. Mike Skinner, the top 6 cars broke the track record, including Skinner in a Chevrolet, 30.307 seconds, 180.790 miles per hour. There's Roy Allen, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jimmy Horton. Some awfully strong horses in those first 2 rows.
Many times we've come to the ARCA races, and certainly not demeaning to them at all, but we might see a couple of miles an hour difference in the speed of, say, the 10th place car and the guy on the pole. But it's very close, way on back through the field, so it should be a very competitive race.
And there we see the 2 cars, 2 drivers, Neil Whittemore back in 28th and Harris Devane in 30th. Both those drivers are battling for the Rookie of the Year. If Hillenberg doesn't win the championship, he will be the Rookie of the Year. If he does, those guys could be named Rookie of the Year.
And there's the car number 21, Bobby Boucher, back in 34th spot. He's the 2-time series champion. And there's the car number 50 on pit road. He's obviously having some trouble. Jerry Hill in the pits. That's Chevrolet Monte Carlo. They come in and are trying to change. They're changing the window net down there on the left side of the car.
That's the opera window. This is a piece of plexiglass. It's like they were low on motor oil or something, or had too much oil in it. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but that's a piece of plexiglass behind the window net they're working on.
Take a look at our race analysis here today. We told you it was a 500-kilometer event. It's 311 miles, 204 laps. The pole speed, 180.790. That is a record here. The race record, 131.780. Pit window, 25 to 35 laps. The purse, it's a good one for ARCA competition here at Atlanta, $132,166. We might mention that pit window is because there will be a mandatory pit stop at lap 25.
Yeah, they can go farther than that on fuel. They can go about, what, 60 or 65 laps on fuel on this racetrack.
Now, we talked about the winds, and boy, they have really picked up. There is Doyle Ford and Hank Wetzel on top of the flag stand. You 2 guys have driven these cars. As Bobby Boucher said, the wind will push you into one turn, but it can also be a little bit scary.
Well, right now, the wind is really blowing hard down the front straightaway. That's where the cars are right now. So, look, they'll be going down in turn 1 probably 5-8 miles an hour faster than they've been going all week. So that's going to change the chassis when they get there. The cars going down the back straightaway will be slower than they have been, so they'll have to adjust for that. And you see the camera, the picture moving up and down? That's because the wind is moving our cameras.
And folks, these cars run between 190 and 200 miles an hour on these raceway here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, so the wind definitely affects you when you get up to that kind of speed.
And that's the car of Tim Steele, the Coopersville, Michigan driver, the Simlink Ford. He is the former series champion back in 1993. He will start 9th today, and he's on a roll. He's won the last 2 in a row. So, but they've been on the short tracks at Salem and Winchester. He'd like to be able to get a Speedway finish here, maybe a Speedway win. I hear he's got tremendous plans for 1996. And here is Bob Hill from Story City, Iowa, former Busch Dirt All-Star Series champion. He's been at ARCA now for a couple of years, the Clement Chevrolet and Mack Chevrolet. Today's field, 42 cars, 15 Fords, 19 Chevys, and 5 Pontiacs.
Where's that Edsel? Oh, there's not an Edsel in this race, is there? They stopped making those about 1960.
And among those drivers failing to qualify was a lot of cars. Good field here. Doug Reed will actually have a car in the field. He loaned his car to Kevin Ray. In fact, at the first caution flag, Doug Reed will get in that car of Kevin Ray's and drive it. There's Brad Smith, David Hall, some of the others who didn't make it, Rick Hauser and Rick Shepard. Once again, this is the finale. This is where they're going to determine who the champion is, and it's the closest point battle in ARCA Series history. Hillenberg and Boucher, 5 points apart. Bob Shack still mathematically in it. You can get 220 points in a race here. He has a shot. Bob Hill and Frank Kimmel in the top 5.
And the flagman has given the field the signal. 1 lap to go, and we'll be They'll throw the green flag, and we will be racing.
Glad to have you with us. We told you that if you look at this racetrack about 10 o'clock this morning, no one would have given us a prayer of getting this race in because it was raining sideways, and there were puddles probably you could up to the ankles. But that's drained. The rains have moved away. It is still somewhat overcast, but the fact that the winds have picked up, and we're talking about the winds, has helped dry the racetrack.
Well, it has dried the track tremendously, Jerry, and the fans will be able to see a lot of empty seats in the grandstands, and the bad weather we've had here today is the reason for that. Fans are still filing in here as we get ready to start this race, but it was not much of a race day until just about less than an hour ago.
You look at Tim Steele as he intently looks ahead. Oh, there the 84 car has stopped.
That's Norm Benning out of Level Green, Pennsylvania. His Chevrolet scheduled to start back in 33rd spot. Apparently he's had somewhat of a problem.
That's going again. Now the car has started.
They have called off the green flag, though. They're waving the caution once again from the flagstand. There's a look at Doyle Ford and Hank Wetzel. They were concerned about getting the cars flying down into 1 and 2 with that car stalled. So you got to wonder if with all the rain and wind, if maybe moisture doesn't play somewhat of a havoc with some of the ignitions.
I would think that would certainly be. We had a lot of trouble with our wiring on our TV wiring this morning. Had some problems with the audio just because of the wet weather. We see Norm Benton has the car going again, but yes, wet weather is an enemy of electrical currents.
Take a look at this racetrack. It is 1.5 miles around, but that's a little bit deceiving because the front and back stretch, 1,320 feet, folks, that's 1/4 mile. And that means that each turn is a full half mile. Very steep and banked turns, 24 degrees. Straightaways banked at 5 degrees, but the turns are very sweeping. So if you don't handle in the corners here, you don't handle very well at all.
No, as a matter of fact, that's Bobby Hamilton's STP Pontiac, the Winston Cup car. I saw yesterday in the garage area, he has a support, a brace for his head that is huge to try to help hold his head up during the 500-mile race, the Napa 500 here tomorrow.
You say he has a huge head or is it a huge brace?
The brace is huge.
Okay.
There's a lot of strain and pressure on your neck muscles on a track like this where you have this much banking, 24 degrees of banking, and also that much centrifugal force for 1/2 mile, as you said.
Speaking of huge, did you get to finish your sandwich a minute ago?
No, I didn't.
Okay.